welcome to Life Expressions. I'm your host, Shari Hinete Elon. Today, I'll be talking to a young leader, development worker, and children's rights advocate. For the past decade, he has been working for the causes of disadvantaged children, the abandoned, neglected, malnourished, survivors of abuse and trafficking. He is a community leader who has served as president of JCI Bacolod Executive, Rotary Club of Bacolod Central, and the first Farmers Toastmasters Club. He was awarded as outstanding student in the field of leadership when he graduated from University of St. LaSalle, and a two-time national public speaking champion of Toastmasters International. A children's rights advocate, he works under a thrust that no child should be hungry, no child should be on the streets, no child should be denied education, and no child should be subjected to violence. Isn't that a worthy advocacy? Please welcome my guest today, Mhel Enderes Sillador. Hi, Mel.
Hi, Cha. It's
Welcome
been
to
so
Life
long.
Expressions. How are
Thank you
you?
very much for inviting me.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good, and we're still here in Bacolod. Where it's getting hotter. We're
Oh,
entering summer here in the Philippines.
yes, yes. And it's gonna be spring
But
here. Okay.
yes,
So where do you get the energy for all the things that you do?
well, even before I always would have that mindset that life is really too short, to probably spend it watching television or sleeping. I've always find a way to make myself busy.
Yes, and you're always active, as I've mentioned, the JCI Bacolod, Rotary Club, Toastmasters, and your organization, Kalipay Foundation. Why do you make time for these organizations?
Actually, I really didn't plan to make it like that, to join civic organization. I started first with Toastmasters just after I graduated, basically because I wanted to enhance my speaking ability and to increase my confidence, in speaking in front of other people. Then from there, I get to be exposed to other civic organizations, wherein I realized that we all have the responsibility to give back one way or another to the community that has been so kind to most of us.
Yeah.
And that's actually how I eventually entered to Kalipay. I just heard of Kalipay before as an organization helping children. But when I met Anna, our founder and president, and when I was exposed to the beneficiaries, to the children of Kalipay, that's when I realized how lucky I was that I was able to have a wonderful childhood,
Yeah.
to be provided by good education by my parents. And that's when I also realized that I've only seen one part of the community that I live. And there's that other side of my country where there are a lot of people who are not given the same access to education, the same love and care that everyone deserve. So at that point, I really think that I felt the responsibility to help out to that other side of the community, because at the end of the day, Negros, the Philippines, and my family and friends have been so kind to me throughout the years, and I think it's my time to give back.
That's wonderful. So you serve Kalipay Negrense Foundation in what capacity?
Right now, I'm their executive director in Kalipay.
Oh, that's good. Kalipay, by the way, is happiness in English, correct?
Yes,
And you provide
yes,
happiness?
joy or
Yes.
happiness.
Yes, joy and happiness. Before we move on to you, the organization providing happiness to children, especially abused and neglected children, I would like to ask you first a personal question. What makes you happy, Mel?
Oh, I've always been an empathetic individual. I'm quite sensitive as a person. If people around me are happy, I'm also happy. And if people around me are sad, I also feel the sadness of people
Yeah.
around me. But I think when people that I love very much are happy,
Mhm.
it's enough to make me happy as well.
Oh, that's wonderful. That is a selfless trait. You minding the happiness of others, and when they're happy, you're happy as well. So, what? Let's go back to Kalipay. What is the mission of Kalipay Foundation?
Kalipay, when it was founded, it was initially created to help other children's facility here in the province. You'll be surprised that here in the island of Negros, there's no government-run children's facility. So most of the children's home that we have here are run by NGOs. And when Kalipay was founded, these NGOs were already struggling, and they're still struggling until now. So Kalipay then was founded to help out other children's NGO,
Yeah.
those that are providing shelters to disadvantaged children, to make sure that they continue what they're doing. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, throughout the years, the challenge of running a children's facility is really so enormous that these NGOs eventually got bankrupt and stopped operating.
Yeah.
And that's when Kalipay, having no choice, took the challenge of accepting the children that used to be with other NGOs. So
Yeah.
from then, it is the mission of Kalipay to provide a fun, loving, healthy, and safe environment for children. An environment where their needs are provided and rights are protected.
Yes. So, how does Kalipay do this? Where does Kalipay get its funds to make sure that they're able to help and reach out to these children?
When I started with Kalipay, that's my biggest shock
Yeah.
because prior to Kalipay was with a corporate environment,
Yeah.
and it's totally different because in the corporate world we do projection, we analyze
Yes.
how much money we have and how can we move forward. When I entered Kalipay, I was so shocked,
Yes.
of how limited the resources there is, for our foundation. So there were really sleepless nights, and I would talk to our founder, Anna, we might not have any money at the end of the month to pay the salary. The money that we have is probably just enough for another month, for us to survive. And I
Yeah.
can always remember Anna telling me, Mel, we started Kalipay back in 2007, and what we have been doing was always been catching miracles. And it's true, and it is really in Kalipay that I really experience miracle happening every so often, that
Yeah.
at the time that we don't have money anymore, something always arrives. And Anna would tell me, just uh, keep doing the right things.
Yeah.
We make sure that the children are happy, the children are protected and are provided for, because at the end of the day, we are doing God's work, and
Yeah.
if we are doing His work, He will not let us down. And we've been clinging, to that faith um, that God is always with us, to help Kalipay continue what it does.
Yeah, wow. So, meaning to say you are surviving based on the donations of people, the generosity of people who help out Kalipay, and then in turn you give that to all the children there. So, how is Kalipay doing now? Like, especially in the midst of the pandemic?
The pandemic was extra challenging. When the lockdown happened, well, exactly last year,
Yes.
um, we actually lost around 40% of our regular donors because they themselves, their companies, their families were also greatly affected by the pandemic. So we lost, we lost so much. And it was at that point that we would sit down and contemplate that, until when can we really survive, because it was really so uncertain. We
Yeah.
had to cut some meals. We used to
Wow.
give two snacks in a day. We had to cut the afternoon snacks. We had to limit the rice at some point, because
Wow.
we really had so less,
Yeah.
because of the pandemic. And I talked to my good friend, and I asked, I don't know how long, Kalipay can handle this. And this
Yes.
very good friend of mine counseled that, if God wanted Kalipay to exist for 20 more years,
Yes.
it will be 20 more years. If God want you guys to close down in a week, then you will close down in a week. So be it.
Yeah.
God must have, a reason, why we continue to exist. And I'm very happy that we're still here. Though the challenges are there, we have welcomed several children,
Yeah.
since the pandemic, especially those that were displaced
Yeah.
because of the quarantine, the lockdown.
Yes.
And I'm just happy that we still have a home
Yes.
that can still welcome our children that needs help. As of today, we have around, I think, 96 children in our care,
Yeah.
as
Wow.
young as 2 months old. And our eldest, I think 22 years old, with special needs.
Wow.
So yes.
That's a big challenge, and God is definitely blessing you, making sure that you're able not just to survive, but to thrive amidst the pandemic, because you are making sure that these children are protected and well provided for, and at least they have a home to stay that also provides them all the love and the affection that they need. So, Mel, can you share with us a success story? Because I know that Kalipay has been existing for more than 10 years. It has started in 2007. And I'm pretty sure you have sent some children to school as well and making sure that they would have a bright future. Share with us some success stories of the children that have been with Kalipay.
Well, every day there's a success story happening in Kalipay. I always say every day there's a
Wow.
miracle
Yeah.
happening in Kalipay.
Yeah.
The most recent one I can share is that we rescued this 6-year-old child who was physically abused, during the pandemic. Practically no one was taking care of her. Her parents passed away already. So she was left to the care of distant relatives, and she was passed to other people. And she was literally skin and bone. And when we got her I think around June of last year,
Yeah.
she barely can sit. There was no muscle, almost no muscle in her body. She barely can sit. Right now, this girl we fondly call Diana,
Yes.
um, can already walk. And every time I go to our home, she's the one who would go towards you and welcome you. And she's always been thankful that she has a new family,
Yeah.
in recovered treasures. So every day there's a miracle that's happening in Kalipay. We also have my very first rescue. I always say that this is my very first rescue, but because when I joined Kalipay, I think around a week or two, this was the first rescue that I participated. And we call him Sam, and we got him in the public plaza
Mhm.
of Bacolod. And when we got there, Sam was lying there in the plaza while his mother was playing Chinese garter.
Oh.
And his mother was only 13 years old.
And how old
And
was the
Sam was around, and Sam was around 2 at that
oh,
time. And I
two,
and I, and I
two,
quickly did the
two
math.
years old?
2 years old. So that would mean that, Sam's mother gave birth at the age of
11?
11. And of course, Sam was there. He was being fed by Milo, by
Yes.
the mom, and the mom was, was playing. And we
Oh my.
talked to the mom and asked, what happened to you? Did someone rape you, or what happened? And she said, no, I wasn't raped. I was paid 20 pesos.
Oh, oh,
And and
oh
I,
no.
I don't know how to respond, because that mother was also a victim, you
Yes.
know.
So,
And we offered her shelter,
yeah,
together with
with a
Sam.
child. Yeah.
Then yes, and Sam right now, I think, is around 7 or 8 years old. He just entered grade one.
Yeah.
Um, the mother we could no longer find the mother,
So
but
she did not join her son in going to recover treasures.
she did not.
Yeah.
Um, Unfortunately, throughout the years, Miss Chari, this is one thing that, I've realized in my work, that, no matter how much love and care we give, how much food, education, and,
Yeah.
toys and all of that, sometimes it's not enough, because these children
Yeah.
are so damaged
Yes.
that, uh, I really don't know how to answer their questions anymore. We have a full-time psychologist,
Yes.
working with us, because one way or another, that deep wound in their heart,
Yes.
is still there. So we do our best,
Yeah.
every day in Kalipay. But I'm just sharing that
Yeah.
there is still that part of them, that is not totally healed. But with Sam right now, and I'm very happy, though he has limitations, intellectually.
Yes.
But he is a very, very kind, school ager, who's very courteous and respectful.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, that is success.
Yes.
That, we are able to, to develop a child that is courteous, respectful, and God loving.
Yeah. And you give him an opportunity for a brighter future. And you're trying to heal him as well. Um, Kalipay is facing such a challenging task, not just providing homes for these children, but to open their eyes to the beauty of the world, despite the damage, despite the hurt that they have faced and experienced. And I am happy that an organization such as Kalipay is there, and you as a person and many others who are with you are remain committed to such a huge task. That is really awesome, Mel, and I'm so touched with that story of yours. I truly hope that you continue to be inspired in doing this work. Um, how can we help you? How can we help Kalipay?
I always, share with my friends and people that I meet, that, taking care of children is not only the responsibility of the government, or the responsibility of NGOs. All of us have a role to play.
Yes,
And I still can remember this quote that says that, society is best judged by how it takes care of its elderly and children,
yeah,
and how we take care of Filipino children defines, who we are as a nation,
yeah,
and as a group of people. There are a lot of ways that, anyone, everyone can help organizations like us, not only Kalipay. First, you can help through donation. You can check our website at www.kalipay.org. You can check what we do. You can sponsor a child to make sure that the child finishes his education. We have actually one class of students in Spain who was sponsored a child in Kalipay who is of their same age.
Oh,
And their
wow.
goal is to make sure that when they graduate, this child also graduates with them.
Wow.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yes, so nice.
So, and it was a high school. It was a high school class, and I'm so
Yeah.
touched that, that as young as they are, that they have that love, for people that are in need. Individuals can also volunteer. You can volunteer as a teacher.
Yeah.
If you have background in psychology, we definitely really need help in terms of that aspect. If you are a lawyer, out of that 96 children we have, 20 plus children in our care have legal cases. And
Mm,
those are children who I call them not victims of abuse but survivors of abuse, and unfortunately several of the perpetrators are still at large. So
yes.
we need, as many lawyers as volunteers in our organization. If you're a doctor or a nurse, if you have a time in a month to visit our children, to conduct physical assessment, that would be wonderful. and
Yeah.
and finally, um, if you can just share our story, to other people, that there is an organization, a small organization in Negros, doing its best to protect the rights of disadvantaged children.
Mm,
That would be wonderful, because these stories, when it's passed, can reach to other individuals who
yeah.
will have the heart, to help our organization.
Yes, thank you for that. I'm pretty sure that a lot of people would want to be part of the efforts of Kalipay in providing love and affection and hope to these children. What about the hopes and the goals of Kalipay just for this year? Because of course you have already shared your mission, but challenge the challenge of surviving day in and day out is already a huge task. So what's the goal of Kalipay for this year?
Well, for this year, our main goal really, as of now, is to make sure all children in our care are safe
Yeah.
from COVID. And sadly, since last year, we have closed our doors to visitors because of the risk. We have 96 children. If one will have COVID, everybody else will have,
Yes.
and we're just very happy that several of our staff who are so committed and dedicated, are staying with us,
Mhm.
and are partly away from their families, just to take care of our children. So our main goal is to make sure all children that are under our care are safe, and their needs still provided for.
Yes, that's great. You have aspirations for Kalipay and the children that you take care of. What about yourself? What are your personal aspirations, Mel?
Oh, uh, hmm. Well, there was a point in my life that I actually didn't really know where I'm going, and I'm still not sure where I will be going at this point. In fact, my family has been asking me, what are you doing with your life? I have a very, very erratic career path. My baccalaureate course was nursing. Then I took up my master's in psych. Then I taught in the university. I took up my PhD in education. Then I got bored with the academe. Then I moved out, tried the corporate world, took
Yeah.
up my master's in business from UP. Then from there, it really did not make any sense.
Yeah.
And when I joined Kalipay and I started doing my work in Kalipay, that's when I realized that it makes sense now, that I get to use everything that I have learned in the past, experiences and learnings to what I'm doing now. I get to use my background in nursing, psychology,
Yeah.
education, and running, a foundation. And at this point, I really I think can say that I am in a point in my life that the world. I mean, my life makes sense now, and my personal aspiration maybe um, that that I will be able to help the foundation more, because I
Wow.
really believe what the organization is doing. Parang as my friends said before na parang nabudol ka in Kalipay, that you want to go out anymore. Everybody's abroad already. Miss Shari is already abroad. Why don't you? And I'm stuck in Kalipay, and it is because it is here where it all makes sense, and it is here where I find my purpose. And where I'm going, I leave it to God, to bring me there.
That is wonderful, Mel. You are wonderfully stuck with and in Kalipay. Everything makes sense to you now. Really, God works in wondrous ways. In the things that you do, sometimes they don't make sense, but later on you will realize, oh, this is why. Right? So wonderful.
Yes.
And yes. And so in closing, Mel, I would like to ask you for all the things that you do for other people and perhaps for your family and yourself, what is your prayer?
Um, I'm for several years I have adopted the prayer of Saint Francis, but just allow me to rephrase.
Yes.
In every day I always make it a point to include this in my prayer, that God may be my heart, in every day that I wake up to bring love when where there is hatred, to bring healing where there is hurt, to bring comfort when there is suffering, and where there is sadness, to bring joy.
Wow. You are awesome, Mel. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
sharing with us your purpose, your aspirations, and the things that you do for Kalipay. It is so heartwarming that there is someone like you, and of course, an organization that truly cares. Thank you so
Thank
much for your
you.
time. And of course,
Thank you very much.
yes, if I may share, yes, we should take part. If you can go and connect with Kalipay, do your share. And perhaps not just with Kalipay, but with other organizations that try to make the world better. I should say that children are a gift from God and they are a reward from the Lord. So we should take care of our children. Let's do our part. Thank you so much, Mel, for your time. And I wish
Thank
your
you.
prayer will be granted. Thank you. And thank you so much for
Thank you.
listening. If you like this episode, please show some love, like this podcast, and share it with your friends. I'm your host, Shari Hinete Elon. This is Life Expressions. Thank you, Mel.